do? This is part 3. Had to take a quick break, but I'm back. It's Terrell from D-Line Hall of Fame, and these are Bully Rants, and this is part 3 on the Razor's Edge and Dave Wilson questions. We're going to go into the Elite Edge part of the family. The original Elite Edge. That played a big part in what Razor's Edge became known as to everyone else. For a good while, the name had definitely had a national recognition, but when the Elite Edge came along, pretty much the charge was led by Dave and Cruz and Mike from Devil's Den, Danny Gaddis, several other guys at the time. I'm not going to name off everybody, but that's how the charge was led. We pretty much at that time just dedicated ourselves to going to every city we could, and at this time it wasn't any ABKC, so you did have a couple small registries that was doing shows here and there, but for the most part it was just fun shows everywhere, and from California to Texas to wherever, New York, Ohio, Florida, we were doing shows, it seemed like every other week, and just spreading the name and really pumping up the bully community. And despite what some people thought, it was actually a asserted effort to keep going to promote the breed and to get the breed more popular, to lead into what would later become the ABKC. At the time, just in the Elite Edge, it was like an all-star collection of dogs. You had everybody. Devil's Den had Viper and Samson and a few others. Dave had Little Row, and at that time Little Row was just becoming popular. You had Hall of Fame. We had at that time Hallie, and then De Niro came along, and Bow Wow had Bigfoot and Blow. You had Nugs and man, you name them, Godzilla. Just a great collection of dogs. I'm leaving a lot of them off. When you go out to California, and you had all the Oscar's dogs and man, Sean's dogs. You had a great collection of dogs that you probably never see one group have that many dogs again, unless it's D-Line. No, I'm just kidding, but really it was. I mean, when we showed up at shows, people would see the dogs and just be amazed, because not only was it something that they had never seen before, but the dogs were beautiful, and that look, people just fell in love with that look of those cheeks and that tight skin and the muscles, and it really pushed Razor's Edge bloodline to a whole another level. I said bloodline again, Razor's Edge blood to a whole new level, to where not only was it a northeastern thing to where people were really all over it, but now you had people from Texas that before had Gotti line dogs that wanted to add some of the edge blood in there to get that head structure more. Florida just went absolutely Razor's Edge crazy when Florida used to be a fox dog area, just all over, and it really worked. At that time you start seeing the magazines pop up. Atomic Dog led the way. I remember the original cover was Cairo on the original cover, and it just really like took off like a rocket at the time, and people really got to see this East Coast well-kept secret that was Razor's Edge. A lot of people, even though we knew about it and people who were following these dogs knew about it, it just really took it to the next level. And for a while, it was what it was. At that time, you start seeing other dogs take off, like Paco, and man, I'm not gonna even start that, but Remy, whatever, man. You just had it. I could get to naming them off, and I get excited about naming them off. But at that time, it was just like, it was really truly a domination, and even what was more impressive is that, Paco and Remy, who were at that time probably arguably the two most popular dogs that came from the Edge family, were in California. And that was like, that was a big thing for everybody, because Edge dogs really weren't huge out in California, just like they really aren't huge now. But you know, the two most popular dogs in the world were based right out of California, so that shows you how the blood is spread. And you know, it was just a huge thing for everybody. When we showed up at shows, I mean, our booth, it would have literally waiting lines. I remember times when we had people who wanted us to sign autographs of different posters or magazines or shirts, and it was like the rock star of bullies, so to speak. And I mean, it really did push the Razor's Edge bloodline to the next level. And you know, and sadly enough for me, and that's where we'll go next, it took it somewhere that was great, but at the same time, it took it down the path that we sort of talked about earlier. And going into this fourth one, and y'all forgive me for being choppy about it, but even doing this thing, I have a lot of good memories of a lot of good friends in those times. That's probably why I just keep smiling the whole time I'm doing this thing. But it really was a fun time, and it was an innovative time where you saw guys who really cared about the dogs, and all we cared about was not really the next big thing, but the best dog. I mean, we would stand out there for hours and just look at a dog, the way he moved, looking at his hips, looking at his rear, his front, how tight his paws was. You know, if you were a real dog man, that was just a great time, you know, to just travel around and get a chance to see in person all of these dogs that people only talk about now. But yeah, in closing, you know, the Elite Edge really was the spring pole, so to speak, for the Razor's Edge bloodline to be known across the world. And Dave even recognizes that especially the original Elite Edge and the guys who were there at that time really did, you know, elevate the bloodline, and not only that, the American Bull.